All right, so everyone, welcome to Kodel Kol Shira in partners with Breslov.org, Shiva Tereshim, Baruch Hashem, Parshat Tzav. Very exciting. We had a beautiful Purim, and I trust that all of our listeners had a beautiful Purim as well, Baruch Hashem. There's so many things to learn about this parsha. Well, let's look at the first Rashi. Let's look at the first pasuk in the first Rashi in the parsha. So it starts off Vaydaber Hashem Moshe Lema, and then it says Tzav es Aharon v'Yasban of Lema Zayis Tyrus Ha'ila. Right. So look what Rashi says. Let's look at the first Rashi. Okay, Beis Tzav es Aharon Ein Tzav Ela Loshen Zoros. Right. You have to do the lashon of Tzav. When you see Tzav, Rashi says it's a lashon of do it in a speedy way. Be speedy about it. Miyad unledayres. All right, so do this all the time. Be Yosef shetzarech hakosav lezores b'makim sheyesh by chesron kiss. Right, whenever there's something that pertains to our wallets, right, and you're gonna have to spend some money. So do it in a very hasty, in a very speedy way. Because if you let it go too long, the Yetzer Hara will get in there and he'll try to convince you why you shouldn't do it. Right? So I think this is what Rashi is trying to tell us here. Ein by ela chesron kiss. Right? So anytime the Rashi says it's a lashon, it's a tzav, it's a hara, it's a lashon of zoras. Be zoras. So look what Rav Nosson has a beautiful understanding about this also, and he explains a little bit more. Tzav es har mevoya b'kavonis b'parshas atomid. Through karbanos we can subdue. Let's use that word. The power of the avodah zarah, of foreign service of foreign gods. Shazeo bechinas tzav es bnei Yisrael. Ein tzav ella avodah zarah. Lashon. Anytime it says tzav es bnei Yisrael. Ein tzav el avodah zarah ayin sham haynu shar karbonos machnian umevatlen avodah zarah shel tavis mammon. Look at this. It goes together perfectly. Avodah zarah. We know that the Anshe Knesset Gedola got together and they were mevatel. They nullified the taiva, the desire to serve foreign gods. We know that if you look through Tanakh, you see that avodah zarah was a big problem. It was a big problem. We kept falling to it. We kept falling to service of avodah zarah. It was a terrible desire. But they were able to nullify the desire for avodah zarah. That's why today we don't necessarily understand it. Now you see. You read through Tanakh. You see there was this avodah zarah Baal Peor, and these terrible things. And why were they doing this? We can't understand, because again they were mevatel the whole idea that we would ever have a desire to do that. But Chazal tell us that it was the actual avodah zarah to serve the foreign god was nullified. However, when it came to, it was transferred to money. It was transferred to money. You see this? Look at this. Avodah zarah shel tavis mammon. Right? People have a taiva, they want more money. They need more money. Right? Chazal say you have 100, you want 200. You have 200, I want 400. And so on. That's the taiva of avodah zarah. If you want to try to understand what the taiva of avodah zarah was a little bit, just see the desire people have today towards money. And how they drive themselves crazy to have more money, where they don't necessarily need it. It's just it's a desire. That's the ikar avodah zarah of today. Ki kol avodah zarah is heim b'mammon. All avodah zarah is with money. Shezeu shamra b'seinu zal al pasuk tzav es Aaron hanebe b'parshas ha'ola. It's talking about the parshas ha'ola. Ein tzav ela zerus miyad uledayres. It's going on for all generations. Like we saw in the Rashi. Rav Nosson's quoting the Rashi. Hainu kenal ki karbanos heim chesron kiss, because the karbanos, when you gave the money, when you had to spend money to give a carbon, right? You had to buy the animal. You had to if it was an animal, or if there was an ani, you didn't have the money. You had to spend the money to buy the flour and the oil for the mincha. Whatever it was, it involved spending money, right? The makim chesron kiss, kikabanis heim chesron kiss. You have to spend money on them. Shezeh bechinas shviras tavas mammon. That's the idea of breaking the tithe of mammon. Shaydei shemachasrim emayna b'shvil Hashem. You lower your money, right? You lower what you have. You had $1,000 and you gave away $100. You gave 10%. You gave your meiser. So now you gave money. You lowered your money to give it to Hashem. Isn't that beautiful? A beautiful thing. You do it for Hashem. Now look, let's remember something. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us whenever we give money for tzedakah, we're really making a loan to Hashem. You know that? Did you know that, Ernie? You give money for tzedakah, you're making a loan to Hashem. You're loaning Hashem money. Why? Hashem decided in the world that they're going to be people with money and then it'll be poor people, right? It was Hashem's decision to make poor people, correct, Ernie?
Right. Okay.
Really, let's think about it. Hashem has all the money in the world, right? Has all the money in the world, right? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu could have given every person that they'll all have enough money. And there won't be an idea of anias in the world, correct? Mm-hmm. It's possible, right?
Right.
Hashem certainly can give all the money it has enough money for everything. Elamai, Hashem chooses this system that we should have people with money and then people without money. And then HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, well, listen, I decided it should be this way. And that because Hashem decided it should be this way, when you give the money to the poor person, right, you're so to say taking on Hashem's obligation, right? Because Hashem is Hazon es ha'olam kulai b'tuvai b'chein v'chesed v'rachman. We say in the benching, right? Hashem takes care of everybody in the world. He makes sure he has the money, right? So now if we can understand this idea that whenever we're giving the money, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu says in all the mitzvahs we have to do. But when it comes to the mitzvah of tzedakah, Hashem says you could test me. That's the only mitzvah Hashem says you could test me. And not only that, Hashem will give you back more than you gave. Why? Because if you can show Hashem that you were a trusty custodian for the money, right? Hashem gave you money, right? And then you were able to give the money for tzedakah, and you were able to give the money for tzedakah to help the other people, and you did it in such a nice way. So Hashem says, "Wow, this person's a worthy custodian. I'll give him more money." You understand? And that's why it's considered almost like a loan to Hashem, because Hashem says, "I'll give it back to you. I'll give it back to you." And that's such a beautiful idea if you could really believe that and understand that. That whenever we give the money, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, "I appreciate it so much because now you're taking care of the aniyim. You're doing the right thing. You're doing something so special." So Hashem is so happy that we're doing that. In the same way, when you give, now let me ask you something. You loan money to a person, right? He may give it back to you, may not. But loaning money to Hashem has the best credit. Hashem has the best credit. He'll certainly pay you back. He certainly will pay you back. So we have to believe that. Right? Okay, so this is the idea. Right? So anytime you're giving away your money, right? Right, we're lowering down our money. We don't have as much. The balance went down, right? B'shvil Hashem yizbarach shekoinim karbonis mimimayim, that you're using the money to buy karbonis, or you're using the money to lend money to another person, whatever the case is. That's the way you can break the tithe of mammon. When I understand that the money that I have, I only have this money because Hashem wanted me to have it. But the guy will say, "Listen, I don't know, Hashem. I know that's true, but I made that beautiful deal. I came up with this beautiful deal, and because I had this beautiful deal, Hashem, it's I earned it. I earned it." But if a person understands really, who gave the person the ability to be able to make the deal? Who gave the person the ability to have the idea of the deal? It's from Hashem. When we understand that everything mamish that we have it's because HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave it to us. It makes it so much easier to be able to give the money. And it lowers the taiva of the mammon, the desire for the money. Because we realize it's from Hashem. So here we're learning when it comes to the karbanis, right? You're going to buy a carbon. You're going to buy an animal. You're going to bring the animal for the carbon to the Beis HaMikdash. Halavai will be able to do that very speedily, mamish. Hopefully today. Beis Hashem, who knows, right? Please Hashem. We could buy a carbon and bring it. So that is showing I'm lowering my money for something for Hashem. In other words, I'm aligning my will with the will of Hashem. The will of Hashem is I loan money. The will of Hashem is that I buy the karbanos. Right? So when I do that, I'm breaking my will, my desire, my will. I'm aligning my will with the will of Hashem. And that's such a beautiful thing. You understand the concept? Right? Really, we really feel, listen, I have this money, I'd like to buy this, I need to buy that, I need to do this, I want to go on a trip, I want to do different things, right? But when a person realizes, wait a second, I need to take care of what I have to do. And because it's Hashem gave me that money, so then what I'm doing is I'm aligning my will, what I want, with the will of Hashem. And what more beautiful thing is there than to become aligned with Hashem? That's the best thing that we could possibly do. That gives us the most tranquility in our lives. You use the money for something of holiness. Something, right? Whatever it is. Like we said, you buy the carbon, you're going to give money. You'll give money to the shul, right? You'll give money to support a Torah institution. You'll give money to print books, right? Or whatever it is that you'll print svarim, right? You want to give money for these things that'll have something going on. There'll be an ongoing, it's something that it continues, that it's perpetual. It goes on. Like if you give money to a shul, to build a shul or a yeshiva, so the yeshiva Mitzvah Hashem will be there. And the shul will be there. People will come to daven. More kvayt shemayim will be brought into the world. And then you're using the money for something very good because it has what do you call it? It has residual, right? It keeps increasing. A moment. Okay, double kedusha. K'mavoy b'Torah tzivisi tzedek. Because what is that? That's shriras tavis moment shezoichen aidei karbanos shehem nedivas leiv. When you give the carbon, you're doing it with in the divas leiv. You're giving it from your heart. B'bechinat tzedakah. Al shriras tavis moment bechinas chesron kis b'shvil zeh shebekdusha tzrichen lizores. So when you have an idea that you're going to give money for tzedakah, just do it right away. Go right away, do it right away. Because otherwise, you'll think, oh, maybe I need it for this, that, or the other thing. Just do it right away. Ein loshen tzav ella zrizos. When it comes something for zrizos is when it comes to chesron and kiss. Okay? Okay. Laitzi meitav is moment. Because to get out of this taiva of the money, and I feel, if I need it for tomorrow, how can I give this money? I may need it, and this and that. That taiva of money is the most difficult one. Why? Because we said that's what took the place of the avodah zarah, and the avodah zarah was the most difficult one. Nimchet tzitzav anema bekabanis mirames al shviras tavis moment shezer bechinas ein sav ela zerus biyoset tzarich lezores b'makim sheyes chesron kis b'zel ba'atzme bechinas ein sav ela avodah zarah. Right? Because the whole idea of avodah zarah was transferred to shviras tavis moment who bittul avodah zarah. He called avodah zarahs heim. This is something that's beautiful, brought in Likutei Halachos and Hilchos Tefillah. Halacha Dalid, and it's lesson 15. Okay, so it's a beautiful idea. Really, Rab Nosson explains the Rashi really so well, and we understand what Rashi meant now when it says that it was a chesron kiss. So when it comes to something of kedusha, make sure you do it really quick, especially when money is involved. Right? When you have to do something with money, that's money involved, make sure you do it really, really quick. Does anyone have any comments on this? Questions? Does anyone want to add anything to this? No?
No.
All right, okay, Baruch Hashem. Okay, so let's look at the next.
I had a question.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
When did Avodah Zarah leave and the Yetzer Hara for money start?
When the Anshe Knesset the Gedolah was mevatel the Avodah Zarah, the mamish Avodah Zarah. So they say that the Avodah Zarah transferred at that time to money. It transferred. It didn't. Yeah.
So when was that? Like you said, Rashi comments that it's Mammon, right? So it was after Rashi.
No, it was before Rashi. No. Rashi's telling you, Ein Lashon is a chesron kiss. The idea with the Avodah Zarah was brought in from Rab Nosson. That wasn't from Rashi. That was brought in from Nosson. But the Gemara talks about that. Talks about how the Avodah Zarah was. They had to mevatel the Avodah Zarah. Then they wanted to be mevatel the avodas, the idea of immorality as well, right? That was the next thing they discussed, and it didn't work out. It didn't work. They had to bring it back. Why? Because they say that when they mevatel the avodah zarah for the immorality, the chickens stopped laying eggs, the cows stopped giving milk, the world stopped working. It stopped working. Things weren't working. Things weren't working. So they had to bring that one back. And oh boy, we're dealing with it today. Now let's look at
like about 2,000 years ago or something like that.
Yeah. It was the time of the Anshe Knesset Gedolah.
Whatever that was. Sure.
Okay, no problem. If you want, we'll look into the dates. Try to get your dates. Okay. Base. Now let's look at the next one. Zos Torahs ha'olam. Hine yadua ki oila ba'al hira halev. Right, so in other words, the idea of the carbon ola is a very interesting. It's a very, very interesting carbon, right? If a person thought he had thoughts of avodah zarah, then it would come about from there. Now, really, we know that we learn. Chazal tell us that the laws of chatas are all learned out from the carbon ola, right? The laws of chatas. Let's say a person did a sin, right? He did something. He didn't realize it was Shabbos or something, whatever it was, right? And he did a sin. He has to bring a carbon chatas, right? Right, a sin offering. Right. That's called a sin offering, I believe, in English. They call a chatas as a sin offering, right? The sin offering really comes from the Ola. Why does it come from the Ola? Because really the Ola is the time when the person had the wrong thought in his mind. He was thinking that he was thinking about avodah zarah. He was thinking about something else, something he shouldn't have. There's something in his heart, and then if he was thinking that, so then he has to bring the carbon Ola. Even though HaKadosh Baruch Hu is normally not mitzaref machshava lemaisa, right? Not mitzaref. Let me explain this concept, right? There's an idea of let's say a person had an idea in his head. I really want to go. I want to go to McDonald's. I'll use that example, okay? I want to go to McDonald's because I want to eat a cheeseburger at McDonald's, right? Not okay. Not a nice thing, okay, but. He doesn't have to bring a carbon for that, right? He doesn't have to bring a carbon for that because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not mitzaref the machshava lemaisa, right? In other words, because you were thinking about it, Hashem doesn't consider your thought as an action.
Okay.
Right? It works the other way on the positive side, right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mitzaref the machshava lemaisa, right? Let's say you wanted to go You wanted to go do a mitzvah, right? And you became an oinus, right? You couldn't do it. It didn't work out. It didn't work out. There, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mitzaref to machshava l'maisa, right? So you get benefits for that. Isn't that great? See how good Hashem is, right? You really want to do a mitzvah, and something comes up, you can't do it. Hashem says it's as if you wanted to do it because you really wanted to do it. Isn't that nice? Yeah, that's beautiful. All right, but when it comes to korban ola, right, where the person was thinking thoughts of avodah zarah, he was thinking thoughts that he shouldn't think of. So there, that's a little bit different. And the Torah says that he has to bring a korban ola. Now it's interesting. 1 second. Yeah, mute. Okay. It's very interesting if you think about it, right? The korban ola is very different than all the other karbanos, right? Even the korban chatas, there was a part that went to the Kohen, there was a part that went to the Beis to the Mizbeach, and the owner got something from the korban. When it came to the korban ola, the whole thing was called a burnt offering. The entire animal was burnt. No one benefited anything from it. So what do you learn from that? That the machshava, when a person is thinking something, the thoughts lead the person to the actions. You see that? The thought can lead you to the action. So if a person now when we learned the concept that we can only think about one thing at a time, right? A person can only have one machshava in his mind at one time. Only one. You can't think of two things at once. Why? Because the mind can only think about one thing at a time. So if a person comes a cuckoo thought in his head, what do? Change the thought. Change the thought to something else. You'll come back again, change it again. And change it again and change it again, because you cannot think about two things at once. And you'll tell me that you can, and I'll say to you, I'll prove it to you that you can't. Because even a computer, a microprocessor, can only do one task at a time, right? Can't do two tasks at a time. Our minds can't either. But you say, I can't think about two things at once. I'll tell you that's not true. Really what it is you're thinking about one thing and you keep switching back and forth. So you think you're thinking about one thing at a time, you're thinking about two things at once, but really you're not thinking about two things at once, you're thinking about one thing. What's that?
Multitasking.
I can't hear you. What?
Like multitasking.
Multitasking. Wait. Multitasking is where you're doing physical things, right? You can do two things at once while you're doing physical things.
It could be also for a computer. The multitasking is a taskbar on the bottom of the screen, and you can have a few. And some processors dual processors.
Got it, Marty. That's it. Look what you just said, Marty. Look what you just said. A dual process. What does dual mean?
Two.
There are two processors. So now you can do multitasks if you have two processors. So if you only have one processor, you can't do that.
One computer, like God is the big computer, and He can control how many.
No, of course Hashem can do. Hashem does everything at once. That's not no. We're talking about people. Finite being our minds. What we can do, we can only think about one thing at a time. Now, so if we focus on the wrong thoughts, then what's going to happen is one thought will lead to the next, and then the person will wind up doing the thing wrong. So really, you learn out the chatas from the ola, right? The same way you slaughtered the chatas on the batzafan in the right. So all the chatas is on the batzafan. The same way you do all the things you learn out the chatas from the ola, because chatas only came because of the ola. Why? Because the person was thinking the wrong things. If we have to work on training our thoughts to think about the right things, like we learned before, you want to align your will with the will of Hashem. So anytime you're thinking about something, that thought that's taking you away from being connected with Hashem, change the thought to go back to be connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, today we have a lot of people. They have all of their challenges, and they talk about all of these different things. And with the psychology and all of that stuff, right? And I'm going to say like this. that let's take an example. Let's take an example, David HaMelech, right? Take an example of David HaMelech, right? He was born into his family, that it was a question: was he a legitimate child? Was he not legitimate? Was he Jewish? He's not Jewish. What was his grandmother Rus? Was it a good gay? Was she a Geiris, or was she not a Geiris because she was from? And he was known as like the outcast of his family. But look at this guy. He didn't let all of these things say, like today, what would they do? A guy like that, they would have him in the mental institution, and he would be his whole life. They'd put him on medication and all of that stuff. But you see, David HaMelech was connected to Hashem, and he recognized that everything was coming from Hashem. And he connected to, when you connect yourself to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, no matter what the situation you find yourself in, you can always get out. If you realize it's all coming from Hashem, because it is from Hashem. Anything that happens in our life it's happening in our life because that's the will of Hashem. When I learn how to align my will to the will of Hashem, then that's the greatest thing that I could possibly do, because by aligning my will to HaKadosh Baruch Hu's wills gives me the way to be tranquil in my life, because I know I'm being connected with the Rebbeinu Shalom, and He's controlling everything of the world. So I don't feel the anxiety. I don't have to feel the anxiety of the whole world. So that's nice idea on the carbon ola. Let's go now to the carbon mincha, right? We're learning all the carbonas now. Sefer Vayikra, we learn all about the different carbonas. So now let's learn a little bit about the carbon mincha. V'zois tyrus mincha. Ikra aliyas atfila shehi bechinas carbon. Right? The whole idea of lifting up our tefillah is like a carbon. How do we understand that? We know that we daven the chakras and the Myra, right? We had the Tamid Shel Chakras and the Tamid Shel Bein Arbayim, right? We had the afternoon one, right? So we daven, our tefillah today is in lieu of the karbanos, correct? Does everyone agree with that? Right? We have our tefillah today, which is in lieu of the karbanos. We don't have that. Ikar aliyas tefillah shehi bechinas carbon. The way you lift up your tefillah, which is an aspect of carbon. Hu ayidei tefillah la'ani. If you daven because the carbon mincha, what was the carbon mincha? The carbon mincha was a carbon that was done with flour and with oil, right? Lavona, right? It had the spice, whatever. It had the carbon mincha. In other words, if the person didn't have the money, right? He didn't have the money to buy an animal. He didn't have enough money to buy a bird, right? Because he could bring a carbon from a bird either. He didn't have enough money. He had to bring the carbon mincha, right? The mincha was the flour. There's a few pennies. Flour was not. It wasn't a very expensive thing. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you see, he let it be that there's different levels of the carbonas, right? Different levels. Hu ayidei tefillah lani sha'oile tchila la'Hashem yizbarach k'mavay b'zayir kodesh shezeh bechinas mincha shehi carbon ani. We know that the mincha is a carbon of the ani, of the poor person, the impoverished person. Ach af al pi shetefillah lani yekara v'chashuva me'oid b'einei Hashem yizbarach. That we know that really the tefillah of the ani, when the impoverished person davens to Hashem, that's so beautiful. Hashem loves the tefillah of the impoverished. He loves the tefillah. But now it says, Chazal tell us, "V'ika aniyas v'dalus hu aniyas me'Torah mitzvahs." See, we think a poor person is a person that doesn't only have money. But Chazal tell us, who is the poor person? The person that doesn't have Torah mitzvahs. Do you believe that, right? So the person can have $1 billion, right? There are Jews like that. They have $1 billion, but they have no Torah mitzvahs, right? You got that Michigan or Soros, right? The guy's a billionaire, right? He's a Jew, right? Does he have any Torah mitzvahs? No, Chazal say he's a pauper. The world will tell you, no, he's a rich man. He's rich. He's not useless. Useless. He has nothing from it. Nothing. That's a truly an impoverished person.
It's like with Yaakov, with Esau's angel. Yeah. He said, "Take my money," because he's ani chashuv kameis. Yes. And also. No, that was Eliphaz. That was. Yeah. When he was That was when that happened.
Yeah.
There was and also you have Rachel. She was saying how she had in abundance, no children.
No children, chashav kameis. Right, the whole point of a lady in the world is to have a child. They don't have a child, I'm considered dead.
Good thing if they could have a child, yeah.
Right.
And I think and I guess there's money and then this is another one. Is there another one of a chashav kameis ani?
No, we'll no. The ani is chashav kameis, but here we're learning something else. But here we're learning but Marty, here we're learning something else. Anias vadalus hu anias mitayra mitzvahs ukeshezeh ani b'masim royim. When this ani sees, when this impoverished person of Torah mitzvahs, b'masim roya pichisusai, he realizes how low he is. V'shiflusai in his level. Bifrat shemargish chayvoisav shu chayiv harbe laHashem yizbarach. Al yedei avoinoisav upishav harabim. When the person starts to become serious and he realizes how indebted he is to Hashem, he's really very much indebted to Hashem because of all of the good things Hashem gives him in his life, right? Hashem gives us a lot of stuff, right? We have life, right? We have a place to live. We can move, we can talk, we can do all these things. Did we earn it? Did we earn it? As a person has to make a din the cheshbon, did I earn all the things that Hashem is giving me? Because he did so many sins. Not only did he did so many sins, but Hashem was still doing good for him. Amazing. He was doing willful sins, pishav, willful sins, many of them, but Hashem was still good to him. Umaschil lemarmer lifnei Hashem yizbarach b'leiv nishbar v'nitka. He comes to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and he starts to moan and whimper to Hashem with a broken heart, And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, a broken heart, leiv nishbar alikim loy tivzeh, right? We know those words, right? If someone has a broken heart, Hashem will always accept the person that comes to him with a broken heart. Hashem loves that. When a person has a broken heart, why is his heart broken? Because he realizes his level and he realizes how distant he is from Hashem. When a person comes...
We have that on Yom Kippur, when the Chazan starts Musaf.
Yeah.
He says that exactly like that.
Exactly. He must, right? He feels load. Mimas, like he's load from the way he feels. Yes, of course. Okay, the tzare v'sicher lifnei Hashem yizbarach. He tries and he's crying from the pain, and he's talking to Hashem yizbarach. B'vadei tfilasa yikara v'chashuva miyoid lifnei Hashem yizbarach. Of course, that tefillah is very, very precious, very, very precious and important to Hashem. Paisachas kol hatarin. It opens up all of the gates. It can open up everything for the person. Ki ze ikar tefillah la'ani chashuva miyoid be'enei Hashem yizbarach aval afal pichein adayin tzricha hamtoka gedola. Wait a second. But he still needs to have a hamtok. He still has to sweeten all that judgment. He has a lot of judgment. Ad shetase pulasei b'shleimus, until he can actually actualize the tshuva and all of these things that he did. Machmas taikev hadinim hanechozim by. He has a lot of din that's connected to him. What does it mean there's a lot of din? We know that when a person does a sin, when we do a sin, chas v'sholom, Jews do a sin. So we have the courts up on high, right? There are 24 courthouses up on high. And those 24 courthouses up on high, they mete out judgment. There's a lot of din from them. When we don't do the right thing, when we're not doing the right thing, there's a lot of din. Machmas toigodim nechazim, but it's connected. Machmas shehu adayin bebechinas meichin the katnes. He still also has that small mind. He's thinking small. He's not thinking yet how great HaKadosh Baruch Hu is, how connected he is to Hashem. He's thinking on a small way. Ki hu ani min hadas. Because again, let's remember, he's an ani min das. What's das? Das is Torah. Das is knowing Hashem. Das is hashgacha pratis, knowledge of hashgacha pratis in our life. Begam ki kol ha'anias, afilu begashmias, nimshach gam ke mebechinas miyot hayareach. All poverty, whether it comes from the das or whether it's coming from that the person literally has no money, it all comes from the miyot hayareach, the small moon. Remember the moon, right? The moon, right? What happened was the moon came to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and said that they can't be shnei malachim ishtamshim bekeser echad. They can't have two kings that are going to rule with one crown. With one crown. Remember, right? He said like this, because if not, how would you ever know who's who? Right? The moon was a great luminary, the same way the sun was a great luminary. Right? The moon was giving off its light the same way the sun was giving off its light. So the moon went to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and said, how can we both, who's going to know who's who? Who's going to know who's who? So what did Hashem do? Hashem said, go lech and go make yourself smaller. Go make yourself smaller. And then the moon said, so why will I have any light? So Hashem said, I'll give you the stars. Remember that? Hashem said, I'll give you the stars, you'll have the stars. So the moon has the stars. And that's why Klal Yisrael, we're compared to the moon. Right? Klal Yisrael is nimshul li'areach. We are compared to the moon. Why? Because we have our ups and our downs, right? Every Jew has ups and downs. We live a life of ups and downs. Ups and downs. Every Jew. I have a friend of mine, Meir. He always says that that's why you're supposed to drink 7-Up. Right? Sheva Yipol Tzaddik V'Kam. Sheva Yipol Tzaddik V'Kam. The Tzaddik falls down 7 times, but he keeps getting up. 7-Up. Oh, you like that one, huh? Right? You heard that was good? Sheva Yipol Tzaddik V'Kam. Drink 7-Up. Okay.
I drink to that.
Huh?
I drink to that.
You drink to that? Okay, Baruch Hashem. Okay, so it's all because of the Yareach. This small, that the fact that the moon got small, the moon got small, all the din is connected to this moon, to the moon. Ay, 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 ay. So bechinas dinim amaychin the katness, small-mindedness, the small-minded thinking. And therefore the main salvation for this type of impoverished person, you have to have a great mind. A great mind. What's a great mind? A mind that's filled with Torah, a mind that's filled with the Ratzon Hashem. That's a great mind. So this ani needs to connect to the teachings and connect to the tzaddik, the tzaddikim. Why? Because the tzaddikim have the meich and the godless. He has a meich and the katness. He has a small mind. The tzaddik has the great mind, the meich and the godless. So the meich and the katness has to connect to the meich and the godless. But the tzaddik, even though he's a great tzaddik and he has the meich and the godless, the tzaddik makes himself like he's an ani. He makes himself like he's ani. He's not, but he acts in that way. Mashiach. This is the aspect of Mashiach Tzidkenu. Shenema boy, ani v'roichev al chamor. Mashiach is an impoverished person that rides on a donkey. Right? Could you imagine someone riding on a donkey today? Right? Could you imagine that? I mean, we do see that. I do see that. You should know. I do see that in Eretz Yisrael many times on 60 on the highway. Right, goes from Begin, turns into 60. You see these Arabs riding a donkey on the road. You've seen that, Yehuda? Have you ever seen them? The Arabs, they're riding the donkeys. Yeah, we see that. I get to see that. But this Mashiach Tzidkenu is riding on a donkey in ani. V'chein David kara atzmai ani. David HaMelech. David Malka Mashiach calls himself an ani. Achaf al pi she'oisa atzmai k'ani u'mishtatef atzmai im ha'aniyim v'chol ha'dalim v'ha'shvelim she'ba'olam. Why? Because the tzaddikim, especially Mashiach Tzidkenu, is going to connect himself to all the impoverished people of the world. And he'll lift them all up. This is the whole idea why we need Mashiach so bad in the world, because Mashiach will lift everybody up. will lift everybody up, because all the people that are in the Meich and the Katnas, Mashiach is going to have the Meich and the godless, but he's going to make himself like an Ani, so that way he'll feel connected to the people, and the people will all connect to him. You understand? He'll make himself like he's an impoverished person like them, so they'll all flock to him, and then he'll be able to help them. Oy, halavai, halavai, oy, halavai, we're waiting. Because he's mishtatef atzma im aniyim. He partners himself up with the aniyim. He partners himself up with the impoverished people, the chol adalim and all the destitute, and the shvelim and the lower ones. Afal pi pogmu ma'oid v'osu masha osu. Even though these people did whatever they did, Afal pi chein racham merubim aleim. He has a tremendous love, a tremendous rachmanis on them. Umayrid atzmai aleim. And the Mashiach is going to lower himself to those people, and he'll make them believe that he's even lower than them, so they'll listen to him. Unbelievable. Kihu anav mi'oid. Because the Mashiach, David HaMelech, the Tzaddikim, they're very big anivim, they're very, very humble people. Mikol Adam. More than anyone else, Ashel Panei Adama. Achaf al Pichein. The Tzaddik, right, the Mashiach, even though he'll make himself like he'll be an ani, but he'll make himself like an ani, but he'll still maintain his meichin, the godless. Right, he'll have his big hasagas, the big mind, the big ideas, the connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It'll seem as if he's connected to the aniyim, but really his mind will be in the right place. His mind will be in the right place. Adarabba. Look what he says here. Adarabba, tachlis aniyusay v'shiflusay, hu tachlis hagadlus, the godless. In other words, the greater the tzaddik is, the lower the tzaddik can go down to scoop up those people that need his help the most. And he won't be affected by it. Mashiach may be able to maintain the meichin, the godless that he needs, the meichin, the godless of the tzaddik, right? While he's in the lower place, and it won't affect him, and he'll be able to help the people, and it won't affect him. He'll still be able to maintain the meichin, the godless. Ki etzloi godless v'katnas kulei chad. Because when it comes to the tzaddikim, whether you have godless, greatness, or katness, it was small-minded, a great mind. It's all the same thing. It makes no difference. Shezeh bechinas anava shel Moshe v'David HaMashiach. Moshe Rabbeinu, we know, was anav mikol adam. Moshe Rabbeinu was the most humble person, but Moshe Rabbeinu also had the greatest meichin, the godless, of any other person. No one had a mind like Moshe Rabbeinu. No tzaddik ever had a mind like. No one will have a mind like Moshe Rabbeinu. He had the greatest mind. Moshe Rabbeinu had the greatest mind. But Moshe Rabbeinu considered himself ani. He was impoverished. He considered himself as an anav mikol adam. Shezeh tzaddik bechinas David Mashiach shehu yachal la'azor u'la'ishia is kol ha'aniyim bechinas hanema eitzel Mashiach. This is what we're waiting for. Mashiach is going to come, and he'll have that rachmanis. He'll have the rachmanis to heal all the pain of all of those people that don't feel safe in the world, they don't feel connected to Hashem. He'll be able to connect them to Hashem. Yochas aladal will have mercy, compassion on the impoverished. He'll help them out. Because he is the one that will be able to help. He will be able to help the impoverished ones more than anyone else. B'shoirish. He'll get it, he'll nip it in the bud, he'll go right to the root of the situation. Why they feel the way they feel, he'll be able to identify it, and to be able to deal with the problem right there, and to lift the person out of the meichin, the katness that he is. He'll fix all the small-minded ideas, all the small-minded thinking. The tachlis katness, the katness, ad shekotza achroin ein tachlis. He'll go to the lowest, what doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Hakol hu mamtik b'shoshay elyoina hagavoya miyoid. He'll fix it because again he'll be on such a high level. Because he's on such a high level, he can go down to the lower level and identify with the problem and fix the problem. Wow, 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 wow. And that's where it's all going to get fixed. It's all going to get, you're going to have the sweetening of all the judgment then. Bechinas tfilas mincha. He bechinas hamtokas hamoichin the katnish. Zeh bechinas tfila lani. Bechinas korban mincha. Al kei nikras tfilas mincha daika. Therefore, it's called a mincha. Why is it called a mincha? Because it's the one that really can elevate the person from the moichin, the katnish, to bring him up to the moichin, the godless, to realize it's all Hashem in the world. Right? They're thinking that everyone's thinking that it's this president, it's that one, it's this, it's that. They don't realize it's all the Rabbeinu Shalom. It's all, everything that happens in the world is happening in the world because this is the Ratzon Hashem. I truly, truly believe now, I truly, truly believe in my heart of hearts that Eretz Yisrael now is being alienated by every single country. They had America as a friend. Right? America was their friend, right? And they relied on America. America will always be there to save us, right? But what happens now? America did not do so well with them in the UN, right? Right, Rabbi Yehuda, right? What happened in the UN? They abstained, right? Russia abstained, China abstained, America. But America never did that before, did they?
Yeah.
They never did that before. This is the first time. This is something that
Vetoed it in the past.
What?
In the past, they vetoed it.
They vetoed it, but this is the first time that they abstained. America never abstained. They always vote. Russia abstains. China abstained. Yeah, but America, they never abstain. But I believe this is HaKadosh Baruch Hu just proving to the Rosh HaMemshalah that you think you're thinking you can rely, you'll get the salvation will come from all these other countries. No. That's Meichin the Katnas. Meichin the Godless is realize it's all coming from Hashem. It's all coming from Hashem. The same way today we could talk. You talk to the Chayalim, the soldiers, right? These guys understand it, and they realize, and they'll tell you, they say, Ra'inu et Yad Hashem. They see the Yad Hashem. They see the Yad Hashem on the battlefield. They mamish see how Hashem is there with them, protecting them. It makes no sense. You should know that every single soul that we lose is precious, precious, precious. And every single one of these chayalim that are out there fighting for Klal Yisrael, these are the tzaddikim of our generation. There's no question about it. These are the tzaddikim of our generation. These are the tzaddikim that are mamish putting their life on the line. Their life on the line. What?
Kiddush Hashem.
Al Kiddush Hashem. I'm telling Rabbi Yehuda, I'm telling you. You see these men, you talk to them. It's just fascinating. It's fascinating to be able to go. I don't know if I shared with you last week. We went to a base. It's called Shura. Did I share this with you? I don't remember if I did or not. There's a base called Shura. It's in Ramla, not Ramallah. In Ramla. Okay, that's a Jewish town. Okay. And there's a big base over there, and you have the Rabbanut from the Tzahal, right? That's where they have their offices and everything over there. This is the place where they bring all the bodies to be identified. When you had any fallen soldiers or anyone that was Leilenu that was killed in one of the Peguim, one of those terrorist attacks, and they many times. There's not much. It's very difficult. It's very hard to identify the bodies. They're not easy. It's not easy to identify the bodies. They use DNA. They try to use the fingernails. They try to do different things in order to identify. But to see, we went over there. I just want to share with you one of the chayalim. His name is Ovadia. I'm not going to tell you much more, but his first name. So Avadia contacted me and asked me if we could bring them we can bring them some, Purim packages, some Shloach Manot packages for the guys to lift them up a little bit. So I asked him, how many does he need? He said he needed 35. So I said, okay. He called me back after. He calls me back in the after, and he tells me, he says, is it possible we can get 170? 170. So I said, sure. Sure. We had them, Baruch Hashem. We prepared over 1,000 packages for the Chayalim for Purim, Baruch Hashem. It was super soft, the package. It was unbelievable, mamish. So we drove. I went there with my wife, and we got onto this base. It was not easy to get onto the base. It's very complicated. You need clearance to get onto a base. So I had to give them the name and Taudat Zehut number, and then I needed the car, and then the license of the car, all these different things they need. Okay, Baruch Hashem, we got clearance. We came onto the base. It was unbelievable. And then when we get there, they take us on a tour. They want to show us the place. So we had no idea what we were. My wife and I, we had no idea what we were going to expect to see. We had no idea. So they take us into this place, and they showed us when we came into this building. It's a big building, and we came in, and there's like a loading dock. The best way I can explain it to you, like you see with the trucks, where there's a big loading dock. So picture a loading dock that you would be able to park, let's say about 7 or 8 trucks wide, okay? So they said that on October 8th, that entire thing was filled with all the mason, with all of the bodies, and they were working yomam v'layla, day and night, to identify each one of these bodies, each one of them, and they do it in such a dignified way. It's unbelievable. And where I was most amazed was what they do is, when they take the body to Har Herzl, right, where they bury the fallen soldiers and the police officers, that they bury them over there. The chevrik, these people from these chayalim, they go over there to ask mechila from the mace if they didn't treat the mace with the right dignity. Mamish, it's unbelievable. This is the way these people are. It's unbelievable. And I want to share with you one story they told us. There was one. They said that one. They have a special. They have little buildings set up. They're like a chapel, almost like a little chapel. You can imagine, where they have in the center of this room, they have a place to put the aron. They put the coffin from the mace, and then the family can come. They have chairs around, and the family can come and spend time before they do the kvura. He said there was one young lady that lo yaleinu, her husband was killed. He was a chayal. Her husband was killed, and they said that she asked the chayalim, the soldiers that were there, if they can please go out of the room. She wants to have yichud. She wants to be separate with her husband. She said, the same way when we got married, we had the cheder yichud, we had the yichud room. They went into, when the bride and the groom, they have to go into a secluded room with witnesses. So to here, she said, I want to have the last yichud with my husband. Unbelievable to see the way the people are, and just how beautiful Amcha Beis Yisrael is. So this is really what it is. We're an impoverished nation now. We really are. But if we realize that Hashem is with us, and Hashem is there, and Hashem is controlling this all, because He's trying to bring us to the final tikkun, that's the greatest salvation we could possibly have. That's the greatest salvation. Realize it's all Me'ez Hashem. Hashem is behind the whole thing. What? In order to bring us closer to Him. So let us all take these lessons to heart. Take the lessons to heart. Give money for tzedakah. Try to do what you can do, and do it right away. Don't let the Yetzer Hara attack you, because once you don't do it right away, it'll go away. That's like we said, Ein Lashon Tzav Ela Zoros, right? And where do you need the most reasons? When it comes to Chesron Kiss. And then we learned the idea about the Karban Ola, to think about the right things. Always think about the Rabbeinu Shalom. Always think of Hashem. Any other foreign thoughts, change the thought. Change the thought. Because if you let it go, it'll be so hard to change. So change it right away. And don't get involved in the chatas that you'll need afterwards. That's why the laws of chatas are learned out from the oiler, like we learned. And then we learned this idea with the mincha. The whole idea with the mincha is a carbon of the ani. Really, it's ani bedas. And Hashem really wants to help us to leave this meichin the katnis, the meichin of golus, the meichin of golus, of exile, and to have the meichin of geula, the meichin to be able to, Emir Hashem, will be able to greet and meet Mashiach Tzidkenu, and we'll be able to all march together in unison, all together to Yerushalayim, Ir HaKodesh, to the Har HaBayis, the Bayis Shlishi, the Binyan Beis HaMikdash, B'Karav Yameinu Mamish. I want to thank everyone for joining, everybody. Thank you, everybody, and I want to thank everyone for joining. And the Mitzvah Hashem will meet again next week. Okay? Any questions or comments? Any questions or comments before we close off?
By the way, Marty asked before. The Dorim says that 4 people are considered kames. Besides the Oni, what we learned from Rachel, that she said, if I have no children.
No children is a maze?
Yeah. Also a Mitzayra.
A Mitzayra, yes. Because he has to be sent out. He has to be sent out. Yeah,
and they say a suma, an iver, if somebody's blind, it's mace. And let's see, who's the other Mitzora?
And of course the Oni.
And they say a Rasha B'chayav is Choshev Kamesh.
Rasha B'chayav?
Rasha, even while he's
alive. A Rasha is called a dead one even though he's alive.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, all right, everyone, Jishkoyach. We should all become Ashirim when it comes to our avodas Hashem, our mitzvahs, and everything else. All right, everyone, kol tuv.